Right, welcome. Good afternoon. I was on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. Afternoon edition, any bro. Of course, Easter Monday edition. Yeah, Easter still tiki break on your boy, Juma. Yeah, Juma, come on, party. Of course, yeah, the bro has on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube, all the analysis now. And then, of course, all investors so the coach to a Monday games thing, and at the description of the video, yes, also added a link to the various Fiifi-Manfred groups in the Telegram group link or WhatsApp channel and of course the WhatsApp group no so they are near their tuama anytime they are say or join groups now chabi now to me wait my join and then my friend Rich there 5 times on fire. In fact, we could feel like a miracle fan. Then we'll shoot the video together because obviously it is possible. Give it to me shoot the video. But my quack friend Rich, my quack in fact, my enemy be a Richard is a duck, you will come. Now, me had watch now. All what you bring is a then do me and quack. Now, watch now. Young Quedjuma. Mid Bisaning same years in Bisano for him to understand how things have gone. By again. And my share Chelsea match, be 3-4 times game. Now, me share match, I say sometimes I wish you born out or your fan send me a team and emotions and those. In the first half, maybe I did some things and me share how things went now. Me share game there for the second time. I've really realized that there were a lot of things that I probably missed in terms of how Maresca set it up. And even the starting lineup after I watched the game again, I really came to understand that there are a lot of things that had come to change over there. We'll delve deeper into our tactical analysis of how Maresca, in fact, we used 3 separate tactical switches. He played the 2-2-6 formation at some point in time, the 2-3-5 at some point in time. He also played the 3-2-5 at some point in time. We'll talk about mistakes at Chelsea in the first half, the change of Maresca in the second half, and how and on the Boama Chelsea even tactically pure one. Then we'll enjoy the analysis now, of course. But my medical mouse some breaking news because obviously, of course, you're a football fan. You have heard saying the Italian Serie A games have been postponed because of the passing of Pope John Paul. We're free when US Vice President friend JD Vance and there, so Papa friend Pope John Paul. He has passed out Vatican in Rome, and of course, I know just and Italy for now trying to mourn the Pope, and it means that someone appointing another Pope would have gotten 4 separate popes in a lifetime. That is unprecedented. Usually popes now, appointing be resign a long time. They usually keep very long. But there have been 4 appointments of popes. Official club statements. FC Barcelona expresses condolences with the death of Pope Francis. Of course, we're we'll wait to see who the next pope is going to be. There's a possibility, so for the very first time, one Shania Africa being the first ever pope, and I said there's going to be a first pope from Asia also. Officially, the Burgers Benjokia will be the referee for the Copa del Rey final. Copa del Rey final referee stand out. Benjokia in the Belgian Fiifi-Manfred next weekend. It's a midweek way. The Spanish La Liga games because of the next weekend there's going to be the Copa del Rey, Barcelona and Real Madrid Pablo Gonzalez Ferters and a Belgian Copa del Rey final. It's something I'm Madrid for no. It say after now some 1-0 win against Athletic Club, there's a chance for them to stay in this and get the results. Hansi Flick demands full commitment in key roles. De Jong excelled versus Dortmund but failed defensively against Celta Vigo at Barca. Certain responsibilities are non-negotiable when you take say Hansi Flick ne boafu abrantia your friend of Frankie de Jong papa sabona Frankie de Jong a mistake ne go share no, and it looks as if Hansi Flick say some of these things are non-negotiable. He will not he will not cut corners with it. Oh, mistake or no we are going to bear the brand in it. And Manino said the next game never cost most likely Brantier friend Frankie de Jong may not go on and start for team my friend Real Madrid, but then again everything is going to go on. Pope Francis wu na and then Abra Carl Ancelotti and then Ranty and co-training, there has been a minute silence held for Pope Francis or the Valdeba Barcelona maybe a Madrid for a trading. Of course, next match for Madrid versus Getafe away from home. Really important game to stay in the conversation of possibly winning the Spanish La Liga, which is very important over there. A game at Madrid for would want to win. Barca for after that, in the Copa del Rey final, of course, in the Copa del Rey final, then you want to make sure the games are our league, and that's where Madrid are starting the whole of the conversations. And a few of them, Ricardo Burgess, Boniokia, and the Benjamin Fiifi-Manfred why in the Copa del Rey final. A very really interesting game for Madrid. I think players in respect to that game, but I'll wait to see how that is going to pan out. But it's a big opportunity for team your friend Real Madrid. Now I go straight into a conversation, like I say, real conversation. And I think that one of the first things that I was excited about Abraham Hansi Maresca here, and me them. In fact, I think they game no crown you bowie and I realize they say Enzo Maresca one far branch your friend Christopher Nkunku and Tukwan Uncle Bob Chelsea match with Inti with respect to team Tukwan Enzo Maresca was not part. After the game, won't be Sam Maresca or say not any pra a tactical reason and or based on who he needed. And I think that was a very good one. In the last few weeks, all of us have been complaining about Christopher Nkunku and the effort of this game we send your own press. I said on said I'm found this because in Christopher Nkunku Tukwan there was no way Christopher Nkunku to bench. Na Enzo Maresca version and you want Fred Tyree George and then Nicolas Jackson in film Debbie. It can be Nkunku never partner so. And you will rest assured that Nkunku would have put in that effort a branch of friend Tyree George and shape. So for me, I think that even before we delve into tactically saying a game the panel out, Enzo Maresca's decision making and even the management of players or Brandon Sandeman has been spot on and better than last season. Yeah, Chelsea, meaning Enzo Maresca has come under a lot of backlash. But I mean, I can't several times baby and a Chelsea team up for now. Yes, you have every reason to ask questions of saying a Chelsea team a ball more than go and could be second, third, now what's the other form. But also, if you're looking at it in the grand context of the game, there was always going to be some level of fluctuation. I thought they'd be not just for the boy, I thought they'd be boy, and it's animal, not animal, never. But how to get it consistent, how the team was going to grow better. Now, I think that stability, positional play, and it takes time. So for me, that's why I am a time my Enzo Maresca credits. Me Bonechi in recent times, maybe a Maresca, has not been good. But the systems were there, the structures were there in game and year one. In fact, your core game in first half, you started in 4-2-3-1. It became a 3-2-5 shape. It was a very good one. Uti Maresca, the plan to defend was man for man press. But not Michel game na no Chelsea kitabona. I said na attitude like a basic be a womb. Again, usually at the beginning of the season, a brand that Chelsea is successful panel. That they be a Marco Cray and the invertible Fiifi-Manfred. At some point in time, so you're against teams more compact 4-5-1. You're bought diamond on that Cray inverted kakra, goes to inverted kakra, then tip or but there have been times where since Reece James ever back say or fatal. Say Maresca everybody be or Reece James to invert into the middle of the park next to him also because of course you know sometimes this season Malo Gusto so ne form any horse although on my team no start dynamism ball carries forward runs this animal intensity to press no was more than Reece James assistance now. But I said Reece has a certain issue. But the entire Enzo Maresca ball Reece inverted sometimes is that say who ball Reece James in that inverted roller. It means that you invert from the right hand side. What it means is that Levi-Kola or LCB left sided center back or your best ball playing center back and the CCB. It means that the three center backs is going to be Marco Cray, Levi-Kola, and a branch here from Chaloba. Now, so we inverted from the side of Marco Cray. That's a Westy for fun and new one. It means that you play Leverkusen rather as the LCB, then Chalobah, and then you play Reece James as back to the back three, which is very good. It gives me you see the build-up passing range ability of Abrantia friend Reece James in that back three, and so very, very good game plan. But the problem is that line breaking ability as a good passer of the ball with Fiifi-Manfred. You are not going to get it from Chalobah, and yet the stock in trade, and you're there only baby. And on per video I'm here and the title say one of the reasons in Tana Maker said Romeo Lavia fits not back into Chelsea team and bomb, and he said if Chelsea want to build up going forward and they want to still invest Marco Correa, what they can do is that they'll play Abrantia your friend on Leverkusen as the LCB, invest Correa, then bring in Abrantia friend Romeo Lavia as the first phase in Fiifi-Manfred, then push Trevor Chalobah here. It means that you can play with James as a first receiver, more like on the edge in this area, overload central areas. Then normal regimes are better ball no FIFA will occupy a branch of Romeo Lavia and Fiifi-Manfred. Then you push up Maresca. But Enra, because Chelsea and Enzo Maresca wanted to solve that build that problem, or Boris James rather inverted Fiifi-Manfred. But so we shift from the blast of the whistle, and from even senior Chelsea conceded compound. Almost every time Ghana resumes ever in Fiifi-Manfred so bad the ball Chelsea two centre backs no EBM Chalobah any Abrantia friend Leverkusen. But in the middle of the park, the ball even echo on the left hand side corner. Reece James doesn't show up on the forward runs the end receive the ball ahead towards him. May the arrow be actually this is the space they can Reece James are attacking and going to receive the ball from there and then play forward. In fact, before them, there were several times yes, the two centre backs in the sense will be Reece James will receive the ball on the same lane with Maresca. I said, wrong. And I say, a rule that Reece James hasn't really adapted. It was part of the reasons in Chelsea bread in build up. So I say, when Correa and even Malo goes to bed with second half now, only Maresca said there is a lot of their Obuni friend, the dynamism, so say Malo goes to ever shorter. Marco Correa will stay deeper. So Marco Correa ever shorter. Moises Caicedo in different angles, which is good. Money easy to track. Moises Caicedo resumes and are literally in the same lane. Any better pass. So you usually use Moises Caicedo as a decoy. It has a other spaces really long. Again, it will feel for the central progression. Not M1 Chelsea. Away from that, also in the first half, one of the things that are very, very telling, was the fact that Sawoshe at halftime, Enzo Maresca no ni Madueke free mo, and resumes me in a film. Two of the players on the right hand channel or young in a film. Now the plan was simple. First half was the ball Coca Noni Madueke on the wide area, and Makani several times say Enzo Maresca pay in fullback to make it the width because Obeboa more underlapping support. Resumes and veterans, the ball Coca Noni Madueke on wide area. The plan is for resumes to do an underlapping run, like space near that the fullback outside centre back because fullback ever be take Noni Madueke. Into space by that or no, and then the outside centre back with them. And when they say these James slotting into are two things to happen. None makes me but simple pass into his feet. And I say, so I'm more past the component. What will happen is that Cole Palmer can now show for the ball outside of the block and then dictate the pace of the game from that point on. But in this picture again, I'm in a Reece James A bisa for ball back like running some ball and manage. Like it doesn't work like that. A wrong plan. In the first half, maybe I reach the ball or ball now I so I say you're too hesitant to play as another confidence level no form as it wasn't a good game for him. And so Bokon and Nima like it was really affecting. You could tell affecting with James Power with respect to saying another all about the ball and it even affected Nonima. And it wasn't just on one instance. Me, I can't several times say Madueke attitude is shambolic, and it is probably the reason why I think that's why she near Chelsea for the better on Madueke because he is not putting in any effort. Say, yeah, Bobo, or so putting in effort, or so also oye BB or then who shame na or trying to BBC. I mean, Noni Madueke is not putting in any effort. Born nobody nya relaxed or no or boko born say na or 19 or jogging or training the kind of form. But again, you could tell say the distances between fullback, any winger, any even the CM, the RCM in that area was affected. What Maresca wants is that in that area, there's supposed to be a lot of rotations in Kamadueke keep you waiting on. Nanka Reese abai inside kakra, Nanka Reese a show off, Nanka go Pamaya and the lap and run, no be overlap and run. It was so important to bring down a Fulham front. But because we're not doing that, what it meant is that constantly, born in Yaba Bedrua, na Fulham for no Aji Monaco, born in Yaba Bedrua, na Bolaj, and it was going to have to change in the second half for Chelsea to get something out of it, because now I get two criminal here regimes air. As soon as he's giving it to Noni, he needs to be bested into that space now of the full background and cross it to Noni gets it. And you could tell, said, for me, there was a move in 4, genuinely sent me to ball. I mean, maybe say, make sure Kanami Bofu. I'll find the screenshot. Noni had the ball, Reese was behind him, making the most obvious run into the box in the same system. I mean, you could tell, say, Reese in the first half, he wasn't on it. He really wasn't on it at all. And Oshe, how the game should have gone. Chelsea needed that style of play, from Abrantia, your friend Reece James over there, for him to come in and then control the ball from that area. But then he was failing to do it. And Maka, in the first half, na Ade Bakwana, even Sadia the Campo, affected Chelsea. They say, now because in the middle of the park, Reece is failing to go there, distance is the most. So Bonnie came and Fiifi-Manfred central, like I'm always and it was easy to outrun him. And that's why I kept on saying that in next season, Chelsea will need to get what's his name? Andre Santos back into the team. Romeo Lavia fit very important. And Makani several times said, maybe this would have been an important time for Abrantia, your friend Renato Vega, because in this area, Enzo Maresca could have used him for the physicality and the heights and the ball with FIFA. So that been super important. But then Renato Vega is also called over Juventus. Chelsea has some to Abrantia friend Dario Esugo. Now, yes, Esugo is a very good ball winner, but Esugo any say ball never can inside. Only on the level of Lavia of Andre Santos in Bomo as Caicedo. So maybe next summer he will not be so good on the ball, but he will help in terms of winning duels and then trying to play forward quicker. Mesugo okay, so to say Manuel Ugarte he doesn't really have it over there. And it affects the team in that regard very well in terms of the team and how things were going to go on. Very important in Chelsea get Sarah Boys TV and how well they have been able to play over there. And I said it several times. Social formation is not Chelsea boy. As the game was going on, it was very important. One, you call halftime. Although in the first half we played in the 2-3-5. I can't several times say shapes are just shapes. My control on Twitter said Chelsea do not win the game by any form of tactics, and I meant it in terms of magnitude. But the person trying to say you can have the shapes, can have the tactical setups. But if you don't have intensity, you don't have the ability to go in for duels and win your second balls and 10 balls over, go man for man, aggression now, you hardly will win a football game. It's simple. Adiwe, and you negotiable, and you are a simple matter. Born near ball, and a form near ball. Say, obedient one in better born from seven, and your penny more than Isabeka, and you're wilding born in one corner, and you're possible. And that's why I mean, because in the first time we played a 2-3-5, we changed to a 2-2-6. We changed a lot of formations, but still nothing was really working. Into Oshaya, first half again, Adebaka was so disappointed him, and the name said Nicholas Jackson was just off, and I say it was just a bad time for him. But again, one thing that's clear is that all the reasons in here I say Obi Bisam I think that may describe the kind of striker Chelsea here. I'm saying it will be a box occupier and as a box striker and a box dominant striker. Box dominant striker and yet just about bullying them. One of the most important things about box dominant striker is anticipation. Say yeah, we be box crossing. Utini anticipate okay, ball never back. No attack is our space now. But Oshie Nicholas Jackson box man, o movie Ojina Farko. Outside of the box, Nicolas Jackson is very, very important. We could do box the man, then you have issues with him because there is little to no anticipation in the box. But Osimhen, Dilapa, boxing, these guys anticipate danger, they sniff it. And now I'm kind of say they smell blood, you know. Ball the paper tournament, he can pounce on it and get a goal for you. But Nicolas Jackson doesn't do that, and it affects the game by a very, very large extent. And I think it is something that I say the main reason in next season I say Enzo Maresca planning on the proper center forward or being a goals in box media. It was a huge thing over there, and for me, I said it several times, the attackers were not getting enough support, and with James and Kukere more involved, switching to a 3-2-5. Enzo Fernandez also, the counter movements also are very, very important, and going man for man. One thing that for me worked for me, this is basically allow the fullbacks to make late runs na El Honor. So share. Enzo Maresca substitution is not here, you know. One year, just substitutions keke. Now, first off, what Maresca did was that to take off the two players in the right hand channel, Oyiris James and Oyi, Noni Madueke in a film. Two players on right hand channel in ya, Oyomu film. And Okofa Pedro Neto, about right. Tio. Okofa Pedro Neto, about right. Obo Pedro Neto, all right. And inside area more, who said, when you play Pedro Neto in the right, Pedro Neto would like to come inside. Or back inside. What Pedro Neto wants to do is that, so no by insider, you want to have it with Kopama or Banechi Wasi. It's something that you will not get. Kopama always stays central. Into Sadia was switching into midfielders now. Into the Kopama echo left. And on the Enzo Fernandez ever right. Into the two goals that were scored. Tyree George goal, any Abrante friend, Pedro Neto goal, especially for Pedro Neto goal. And on the Enzo Fernandez ever and say. So now there is a lot of movement on the right hand side. Malo Gusto a dynamism, echo inside, about outside, a lot of rotations. Osha baby a Malo Gusto Jibono, how a Bokonin, baby receiving bono, a half 10, playing for it. Sani Manila, very, very dynamic. The central carries is also so good. One of the things that Chelsea are lacking, and next season they have to do, I think that will be to say Andre Santos solves that problem. I've not seen it that much. I have to watch him one see. The ball carry, the progressive carry, central carry, central penetration runs are very important because Bono, a lot of teams will take you go wide. I'm going to go wide. Wide may be easy to press because when you have 1v1 or ball 2v1 or corner, or bet you ball but then when we will say Morgan Gibbs White, Morgan Rogers, Sabo is not Fabo, Fiifi, Yuri Tiliman, no the ball time now. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, what Chelsea on football from deep, no, they are like he will bulldoze through you. And when Malo Gusto came, yes, it's our right hand channel, Pedro Neto. Now you realize that anytime we are not Pedro Neto being born, there is either Enzo Fernandez that's coming inside for him to stay wide, and I Enzo Fernandez ever wide for him to go inside, and that's on the other side because Jadon Sancho number footed on where they were. So what you want to do is that you want now Marco Correa to keep the weight, or Marco Correa to keep it weight. Enzo Maresca can invert. Say there are a lot of dynamic runs. Say Enzo, say Jadon Sancho keep it weight now. The Marco Correa will come inside. If it was the other round, I mean it was counter like that. But still, it means that Kopama will now be a little bit free and then rotate because now you're both 2-2-6 with a lot of movement. And now players in bench, I said, can come and receive the ball. And Tiffany and the second half just were more involved. But even away from the tactics, like I've been saying, the most important thing was the application and intensity and the fact that the team wanted it more. And Semedo baby at Chelsea, shares are 2 goals now. Say analyze this are 2 goals in Chelsea share now. First of all, obviously, Tyree George goal now. Or share or share Tyree George goal or share now. First of all, who said moments be say that Tyree George goal. Malo Gusto and Marco Correa are very important. And that intensity na make us many dynamic runs na make us winning of second balls and then the pace to recover. So ball come and 2 players are very important. Oshaya setting these nets allow for more direct balls to be played. The one into Neto, even if he loses the second ball, the net is the Chelsea's advantage. It's a great chaos moment. To share, Bono, Abrantia, your friend, Marco Correa, and the yellow highlighter at Tonoson. And Abranti a friend of Malo Gusto, near another yellow highlight and turns on the right hand side into look. Mark Kukurea by inside. Not in our picture is Abranti a friend Jadon Sancho. Should be a Tyree George or should be a Kupama. Right ahead of the next Enzo Fernandez and Abranti friend Maresca said, no more boxing Fulham for actually Fiifi-Manfred. Very, very important. And at this point in time, it's the importance of these two players no game because you won't get it from them. And also maybe a Tyree George on the short now. These players no have come to the point where they are boxing. But they came on man, so maybe a Kukurea and Enzo Fernandez, they can quickly press and counter press. But throughout the game, not Chelsea air because James wasn't going there, and James and Kwa then Kukurea who's just one cool, so kind of chill, so there. And I think that was very, very important in that role. And again, you have to say Enzo Maresca catcher and say Mark goes to Abia Opera. But it is time where Obi to say Joshua Kofi, a champion, gets to also play in that role. And now at this point in time of the season, it's about profiling players to play well. Results can be played as part of the back three. No push a champion, man, you like to see a champion utilize as I would ask, and also be say Joshua champion say or say athleticism, no? Which is very, very important where he receives the ball, where he tanks around, where he plays for. Oshe, where Abranti a friend of what's his name? Abranti a friend of Pedro Neto, you could see that Enzo Fernandez was kept the width on Safa, the tip of the box on, and Pedro Neto na bem. A lot of rotations, and it is the dynamic rotation that gives you the chance to win the game. Say that dynamic rotation now, I'm sorry, you will not be able to win matches and you're possible. And that is why Chelsea all of a sudden never had a chance to go in and then go and play and win something. But as it stands now, the chance is there for them to take breaking news that Barca 4 look like they can get my branch friend Jonathan Tah because the name Jonathan Tah announced to Kicker said he's set to leave Bayer Leverkusen as a free agent in the summer. Everything was said from the start. There was a point in time when I made a decision not to extend my contract and not to stay here. It remains that way now. Wakacho almost said you stay transferred. It's a Bayern for I've been watching Chelsea for boyfriend Andre Santos. And yet possible. Andre Santos and yet for sale next season for a Chelsea player for him to come in and see how things will go on from there. Over there, of course, things are going to go on the year Chelsea for Enzo Maresca took the decision to leave Christopher Nkunku out of the squad and use Tyree George centrally instead. Instead of a big name whose head has dropped, we got a hungry, immensely talented young player who's played his heart out. I want this ruthlessness more often from Enzo Maresca. So a young player, we are very aggressive. I'm not my boy since Chelsea 9 to 10 points against Everton, Liverpool, Newcastle, Man United, Nottingham Forest to qualify for the Champions League. We wait to see if that can be done. Brother Ketson here, we'll be back some more. Bye-bye.